Hello, welcome back. Sorry, don't know why I did that. So what we are working on today is 7-7 multiple step problems. So let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, multi-step problems. John is building 3 boxes. He can buy scrap sheets of plywood at the Use It Again store. These sheets are as listed here. We've got 23¼ inch by 93 inches, and we have the size of the box is 23¼ by 23¼ So he needs 6 pieces for each box. How many scrap sheets of plywood does he need? So first off, what do we know? We know that there's 6 pieces of plywood are needed for each of the 3 boxes. We know the boxes are 23¼ inch cubes. And we know each sheet of plywood is 23¼ inches wide and 93 inches long. What do we need to find? So what are we asked to find? We're asked to find the number of sheets of plywood John needs to buy. So now we plan and solve. First, we find the hidden question or questions. So the first one, how many pieces of plywood are needed for 3 boxes? So we know there's 3 boxes and there's 6 pieces each. And so that gives us 18 pieces total. Now, is there another hidden question? Yes, there is. How many pieces of plywood can be cut from 1 scrap sheet of plywood? We know that the length is 93 inches, and each of the wood pieces, so we know total length is 93, and we know that 1 piece is 23.5. How many of those will fit into the 93? Well, we're going to divide that. So 23.25 we'll need to take and divide. And that's going to give us 4. So if we take and do 23.25 plus 23.25 plus 23.25 plus 23.25, we'll find that it's 4. So it will go in exactly. So there are 4 pieces can be cut from 1 piece of plywood, or 1 sheet of plywood, sorry. So last question, what's the last hidden question we need to answer? Well, how many sheets of plywood are needed for 3 boxes? Well, we know that it takes 18 pieces total, and 4 pieces can come out of 1 sheet, so we need to take 18 and divide it by 4. So 18 divided by 4. 4 can go into 18 4 times. Oops. We get 16, subtract. 18 minus 16 is 2. So we end up with 4, remainder 2. Now, can we have 4 remainder 2 sheets of plywood? No. So we need 5 sheets because it's more than the 4. So when we're doing problems like these, we have to be careful. We can't have that remainder per se, because we need to look at it in terms of the total amount. If we have 4 remainder 2, we can't just buy 4 sheets of plywood. We have to have that 5th sheet of plywood to get the remainder 2 parts so that we have enough. So we have to be careful with that. All right, the next one. The Marcos family went on a 2-week trip to San Diego. They drove 575 miles to get there and 627 miles to return home. In San Diego, they drove 121 miles while sightseeing. Their car can travel an average of 31.5 miles on 1 gallon of gas. If the car's gas tank can hold 14 gallons of gas, how many tanks of gas did they use on vacation? So once again, multiple parts here. So multi is your key word for this lesson. Multi. Multi. All right, so a hidden question. First off is, how many miles did the Marcos family drive during their trip? How many miles did they drive on trip? Well, it tells us there was the 575 miles to get there, plus the 627 miles to return home, plus the 121 miles while they were in San Diego. So we add all those together and we end up with 1,323 miles. So that's the total amount of miles on this trip. What's another hidden question? Well, we're talking about miles and we're talking about gas. So the second part of this is, how many gallons of gas did they use on their trip? How many gallons of gas were used on trip? So we know there was a total of 1,323 miles, and we know they can go 31.5 miles on 1 gallon of gas. So we need to take and divide these to find out our solution. So if we take and divide, once again, we need to move our decimal. So I'm going to come down here so I have some space. So move the decimal once, move it once. So we have 315 going into 13230. So 13,230. So can 315 go into 132? No. Can it go into 1,323? Yes, it can. And it's going to go in there 4 times. So that's 1,260. So just like before, some of these you're going to have to take and test out to make sure you know how many times it can go in there. So we subtract these and we end up with 63. We bring down our 0. Now, how many times can 315 go into 630? Well, that is just twice, and it works out exactly. So the answer here is 42. It's going to take 42 gallons of gas for their trip. Now, the last part of this, we want to know how many tanks of gas did they use on vacation. Well, it tells us the car can hold 14 gallons of gas. We know they used 42 gallons. So we're going to take 42 and divide it by 14. And when we do that, we end up with 3 tanks of gas. So, like I said, these are multiple step problems. There's a lot of different parts you have to go through to get to that final answer. We have to find these little in-between parts before we can get to the final solution. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Have a great day.